All right, welcome back. Today we are starting a new group. We're going to be talking about Genesis 4 through 5, the descendants of Adam and Eve. And today we're going to be doing part 1, the first murder, Cain and Abel. Now, as you guess based on the title, today's is going to be a little more violent, a little more dark. So just be aware of that before you are getting in. This is intended for older kids, teenagers, and adults. So just as a heads up before we get going. All right, so as a reminder, let's go through this. We are going through the book of Genesis. The word Genesis means the beginning. This is the book of the Bible that talks about what happened in the beginning. What happened in the beginning of the world. So God created the world in 6 days. He rested on the seventh, and afterward he said it was good. It was perfect. He created a perfect world. He created man in his own image, in his own likeness. He made them rulers over the birds of the air, the fish of the seas, and everything that crawled on the ground. So God created man very specially. However, man decided to disobey God. God gave them one rule: you shall not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But man decided to eat of it anyway. And the eyes of them were both open, and they realized they were naked. So they had sinned against God. Because of that, God had punished them. However, he gave them a promise. He said, I will put an enmity, talking to the serpent who had deceived them. He said, I will put an enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. So some offspring, some descendant of the woman is coming, will be able to save them from what is going on. So before we get into today's passage, there's a lot more words that we don't necessarily use in our everyday speak that I want to define for you. So the first one is offering. So that means something you give up. Usually when we use this, you do use talking about giving an offering to a god, whether it be the one true God or giving an offering to a God who is not true. You can use it like if you're giving someone a gift, you can say, hey, this is my offering. People use it as, okay, this is my peace offering. If someone's mad at them, they'll say, hey, I'm coming to you with a peace offering. In this context, when they're saying they're giving an offering, it's something they are giving to God. Usually when you give God something, you're trying to give from your best to God. Okay, next definition. Let's talk about sin. We've talked about it briefly when we were talking about the fall earlier, but I want to get into an actual definition this time. So the Gospel Project has a really good definition for sin that I love very much, and it is this. Sin is anything you think, say, or do that breaks God's law. So when God said, you shall not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, but Adam and Eve did, that was sin. When God says, you shall not lie, but if we lie, that is sin. If God says, you shall not hate your brother, but you do so, that is sin. So sin is anything we think, say, or do that disobeys God's law. All right. Next one is brother's keeper. This is one of those phrases I've never heard except in connection with the passage we're going to read today. And so basically that just means in charge of your brother. So if you're saying, you see this a lot in old literature referring to this, like, am I my brother's keeper? Meaning, am I in charge of my brother? Okay. Vengeance. That's another big word you see a lot in old literature, not even referring to the Bible, but I don't necessarily hear it that much in everyday speech. I hear it sometimes, but vengeance is just a big word that means revenge. Someone does something bad to you, so you want to do something back to them. You want to get vengeance. Okay. All right, so let's jump in the passage. Today, I'm actually going back to the NIV, and I did check this time. This is actual NIV version. We're going to be in Genesis 4, verse 1. Adam made love to his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. Later, she gave birth to his brother Abel. Now, Abel kept the flock, and Cain worked the soil. I'm going to take a pause here. So again, Adam and Eve have just had 2 children so far, Cain and Abel. And here's a hint that my Sunday school teacher taught me to remember the 2. All right, so Abel's job at the family was taking care of animals. And you can remember this because his name starts with A, and animal starts with A. Abel, animals. Okay. Cain's job was farming and taking care of the plants. So Cain, like sugar cane, is a type of plant spelled differently, but so you can think of cane, sugar cane, plant, taking farming and all of that. Again, that's just a coincidence because the Bible is not originally written in English, but it's helpful since this is Sunday school review. All right. So now we know their jobs. That's actually about to become important. Verse 3. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord, and Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord God said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Now Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out into the field." While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Now the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer lead its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer of the earth." Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." But the Lord said to him, "Not so. Anyone who kills Cain would suffer vengeance 7 times over." Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. So this is one of those really sad passages, and just as a remembrance, all the illustrations I've used are an amazing person drew what they thought it looks like. We don't really know what Cain and Abel looked like. And the Bible doesn't even say specifically how old they were at this time. But what we do know is Cain was jealous of his brother, and he let that take over you. He let the sin absolutely rule over him, and he killed his brother Abel. That's the first recorded murder. And so God takes murder very seriously. God holds life very seriously. And so that's why he gave Cain this severe punishment. All right. He definitely banished him, made him wander. But Cain was worried that anyone who found him would kill him or take vengeance on what had happened. And so God said, "If anyone kills you, then I will give him vengeance 7 times over." All right. So sin does have severe consequences. We must not let it rule over us. So we're still waiting for the offspring of Eve, the redemption to come. We are still waiting for that to come. So next time in part 2, we're going to learn about some of the descendants of Adam and Eve and what became of Cain after all of that. So thank you so much for listening, even in this very, very sad and very, very tough one. But I hope you have a wonderful day.